One of the things that I strongly believe in is truth. I'm a firm believer in truth, being real, and false advertising, fakery, forget about it. And I also believe in being assertive. Standing up with things that are so petty, that do not make any sense, that are not legitimate, that if I only feel negative feelings and gain nothing from that, and maybe have a little bit of a resentment or two, it takes me down the slope, down the mountain, and I tried it and I didn't like it, it's not worth continuing to do. Everybody lives his or her own life, and we are not in control of people's minds or people's livelihood. When it comes to certain aspects, and those aspects I will get into. If you were to give me a chocolate chip cookie, advertising it as rich in chocolate, really heavy, dark chocolate that has just a lot of that sweetness and a lot of the deliciousness that comes with chocolate, and yet you give me a blondie? Really? If you promise that, it's going to be a cheat day meal, then I don't get that. That's going to have a lot of spice and Mediterranean flavors. I don't get the spice and Mediterranean flavors. That on the cover of Day of the Diesels, if I see Thomas on the front cover and then I watch it, newsflash, Percy is the protagonist in the story. If you were to forbid me from drinking a juice box on a sunny, cold winter's day, that I can't take one of each thing? Really? If you're telling me that I can't go to a practice room, and I'm sitting in a classroom right next to it, a hallway right next to it, and yet the last semester, I was sitting in a room at the other side of the building, and yet I was old. That makes no sense. If there was no legitimate, practical reasoning, then just like Gandhi in India picking up salt on the beach, just like Martin Luther and Martin Luther King Jr., giving equality and peace and justice to African Americans and enlightening people with a new idea of God and Christianity and really what it truly is. Well, let me tell you. Do you hear yourself as you talk? Think about it. When you talk, is it dry? Is it stale? Is there no water? No emotion to what you're, saying when you hear yourself talk? Do you hear your voice rather than what you're actually saying? Do you really think about what you title something, and do you have the smarts and the wisdom and the intelligence to know what things are? Do you believe in 100%, over 50% of accuracy. And do you believe in the betterment, inspiration, motivation, interest, enjoyment, and creative mind and students' education when it comes to their reading, their independence when it comes to their reading? Or do you just call things something or talk about things just because they sound good, they sound pretty? It's not right and it's not meaty enough, and it doesn't have enough guts and substance in the reality of it. If you want to take your banjo and go up to a mountain and then invite Jim Quick to your house, or go over to his house, better yet, and he can drag you through his whole mental philosophy of his reading and his practice and everything like that, I think that would be an honor to meet him. Myself, talking about particularly in 2018. If you want to be a creator and founder of a masterclass on Mindvalley, you can do it alongside him, or you can do it on your own. You can play your little tunes and live in your jovial world when really the time of year of your birth I'm not fond of. There's something so discomforting about September through the 1st through the 21st. No bees, no nothing. You really play the card of somebody. Ripper. I think that you're just trying to imitate her. When I hear you speak, it sounds like me and it sounds like her, but yet you do things that I have come through my experience not to believe in. When I first started the whole independent reading thing, was, I was glad because they were really serious on the reading. I didn't know at the time how you played the game, but now I know. And I'm not going to go there again. Are you aware that while they were in middle school and elementary, that was the important time for so-called independent reading? I'm going to ill quote it. I'm going to ill quote that because while you're in middle school and elementary is when you get excited and interested into reading. I was at a high point in the spring of 2019. But then that stops. When you get to high school and get involved in extracurricular activities and homework, and as you become an adolescent, everything like that, that is where it stops. The only extra reading that I should do, anyone should do, is of my choice entirely, of my own initiative. Do you know what independent actually means? I don't think that you do. Independent means, to say independent reading is like saying the freedom of education. It's a free thing. You have an option of going to school, and yet you are forced into going to school. See the logic that I'm getting at here? An opportunity for going to school, and yet It's a requirement. Independent reading is something that really backfired. You think that they're going to become really motivated and more interested and more savvy when it comes to reading, and avid when it comes to that kind of thing. But you're really doing the opposite. Human nature suggests that when we're forced into doing something, we don't want to do it. And oftentimes when when we don't have the time and when no one is giving us the option, that option is what we want to choose. Independent reading means that if I wanted to, I could not read any of the books in addition to what I was reading for class. And then I would get to choose. I would have the freedom. Just let people be and have the freedom to choose when they want to read books in their life. It's not only a question of what, it's a question of when. So unless you change the title, semi-independent, or option B, you remove your influence, you remove that dark cloud that hangs over it, and you change it up, and you make it actually independent, I really have no respect for the whole catastrophe of that thing that goes along with it. Really look at your priorities. What is most important? What should they be focusing on? I'm not sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I'm moving around having enough to do as it is. It is only going to be another chore and another burden. It's going to become less exciting. I'm in a good phase of really enjoying it. I have to do work. And I get pulled away from that because I have to put my focus and attention on that, and then I have to get back into it, and I'm tasting, and I'm deciding to give up, and then, and then I just, because that is what has been happening for the last year. And let me tell you, thanks for nothing. Thanks for sabotaging it. Believe me, I would not be saying this in 2018 spring because I didn't know at the time. I expected that I would only read what we were doing. But then I gave in, and then I was open, and I tried it, and it didn't do me well. The only emotions coming up for me was guilt, shame, disappointment, disinterest, dismotivation. The drive burned itself out. Do you really care? Do you really care? Are you smart enough to know what independent reading really is? I don't think so, because if you were, you would stand up and you would do the right thing. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Because that's what I did when I was in 8th grade. And I was really into reading. Because no one told me, I have to, read an extra thing. At the very end of it, I read along with the class. And at that time, I was not as busy as I am now. Think about that. It seems a little elementary, to tell you the truth. Elementary idea. Moving into the change. Accepting and embracing and really setting free, like you're taking a bird and releasing it free, the minds of the reading of students. You can talk your talk, but are you going to actually walk the walk? What you say, a lot of it is just theoretical, but it's not actually doing anything. Experience proves otherwise in reality. Let me tell you something. If I had the money, I would go buy presents and presents and presents and, throw a huge party for all of the students who had to do that. Had to do it. Because that is what they have earned and that is what they would deserve. That is the problem with it all along. Why isn't this more fun for me? Why isn't this more interesting? And I really, really had to think about it and consider it and reflect on it. And then I found the answer, and it woke me up. It was a wake-up call. I'm going to do what feels right for me. You can do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. I don't care what you do. But I am not going to participate in something that I have known, that I have tried in the past, that has led to feeling imbalanced and not feeling focused or in the present at the year 2020. I have something over my bookshelf because of it. Because of all the distractions, because I could not focus and move on. And whenever I heard something, about a great book and this and that, I just feel this feeling of guilt. I feel this feeling of guilt. And maybe some of it has to do with my part, but it really stems from you. And it actually stems from somebody else that you know very well, who was born under a taboo sign. But let me tell you, as soon as I went in to your class, there was something about how you talk that's very, very irritating. Very, very, and I didn't, and I really, really don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. It's almost as if I could be doing the same things, but differently, and you're doing those same things. You're saying those things, and I'm not saying those things. It is going to stop. If you feel like that you can do that, then that is not my problem. I am not stopping you at all. You can do what makes you feel happy and sit in your little high horse and have it easy and have it, fine and dandy and everything else. And all of them, if they, feel like, they want to do it, then so be it. I am not going to do something like that again. I am not going to fall down the slope like I fell again. Those days are over. Over. I am going back to my roots. I'm going back to what worked. And you are not going. Don't think that you can control those students. Don't think that you have the fantasy of, they follow and everything. And then, get rid of that idea, because that's not how reality works. Ever heard of the 1960s and the Age of Aquarius? Let's not put people on pedestals. You're up here, they're down there. I'm up here, you're down there. No. Absolutely not. If you lower grades, Well, that's your issue. That's really, really not my issue. You just cannot see truth and can't consider, can't turn on the observer and actually think about what this means and what your logic is. Don't call something that it is not. It is very, very simple. Very, very simple. So that is something that you're going to have to deal with. There's a lot of assignments, everything that are one thing, but waiting is kind of another thing. It is kind of another thing. You and all of them have squashed it out. And that will not happen again. That will not happen again. What a bad time of life to do something like that. Don't try to mess with and don't try to challenge and test out those interests and maybe even a passion. You destroyed a phase that I was in, that I enjoyed being in, if I want to call it a phase. And that is very shameful and very sad, because it is a healthy skill to read. And you interfered with it. So that's really the truth of the matter. So, life is not perfect. It doesn't always go al tuntos. Sometimes when it doesn't exactly go as it should be planned, it is for the better. You think that you know better? You think that you're doing a justice to that kind of thing? To waiting? You're increasing it? You're bettering it? Think again. Because I don't think that the rules of the game will persist. And I think that I will not follow the rules of the game. Yeah, absolutely not. The past is in the past, and I am so looking forward to move on to something new and something better and something enlightening. And you are not going to be a part of that. May you be happy in the life that you have chosen. Live well. But just know that it's your personal choice. Giving them the freedom, the complete and utter freedom of that aspect of independent reading, of what it really is. Expect that, if they don't choose to, I have to, get it to them, and, because I'm sure that a lot of them really got into it. And as an English teacher, I'm sure that the last thing that you want to do is destroy that. That's really what you're doing, is destroying that. It's so disappointing. The title is so disappointing. and should furthermore be changed to semi-independent unless you own it when you say semi-independent. Unless you own it when you say it. Or unless you can take the high road and realize what is right. If you care about the reading more and everything, step back, release the strings, release the birds from your nest in your hands and let them fly free. Don't contain it in. That was a mistake that I made. And we only, we learn through doing. I'm a huge believer in that. And we learn as we grow. Things are not what they seem. And now I have grown, and now I know. And that door has closed. And there will be a change. Why should I suffer? Why should they all suffer under you? Let them live their lives and do what they want to do when it comes to things like that. It really, really is wrong. Mean what you say and say what you mean. If you're gonna talk in that voice of yours and become all fetchy on me, well, you can do that. Preferably, go with my beliefs and my way, but, if you want to do that, I don't care. So be it. You do that. You do that. But that aspect of it has lost a little of your respect for me, from me. You're not the only one. You're part of the huge team of, English teachers that have it almost perfectly together, but that's that one little bit. The one little bit that is just not quite right. And that's the truth of the matter. So, thank you for listening to this. I am not going to be one of those people who is going to fake my way through and pretend like I'm really, interested in, liking it. And no. 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 Absolutely not. So, that was a little food for thought for the day. You can be disappointed, but maybe I'm not living up to that expectation. Too bad. Be disappointed. Have the little pity party of disappointment. I could really care less. And quite frankly, I do. With following that part of it. Don't get me wrong. I will read a lot, but I have my whole life. And I want to do it how and when, what and when I choose to. thinking for yourself, them thinking for themselves. You're a Virgo. And as a Virgo, you look for the little details. You look for the little details of something, really judge it critically. And analyze that. Thank you very much. And if you're going to talk to me on this matter, please be in an emotional, watery mood. Have it come from your gut the next time we talk about this. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Wonderful New Year's, and I will see you back. Holding things in is not healthy. It is not what I believe in. Lying is not what I believe in. No, not at all. Thank you very much.